You thought it ended at bestiality and brothels? That was just the symptom. Part 2 isn't about what Europeans did in bedrooms. It's about how they redesigned architecture, rewrote philosophy, rewired economies, and reshaped entire worldviews, all to cage sex, shame bodies, and control desire, while the rest of the world fused pleasure with power, ritual, and life itself. Europe built systems of repression and called them civilization. Gothic cathedrals encoded virginity, asceticism, and masculine verticality. Pointed arches thrusting skyward to subjugate the heavens. Bedrooms were sites of secrecy, surveillance, and hierarchy. Canopy beds, chastity wardrobes, gendered floor plans. Christian cloisters enforced spatial celibacy. Walls built not to protect, but to repress. Elsewhere, Yoruba compounds allowed lovers, friends, and spiritual partners to drift between sacred and social spaces. Moiska homes were round, open, and warm, reflecting the cycles of life, not patriarchal dominion. Indian mandalas and Vastu Shastra guided sensual, holistic design, where pleasure enhanced, not threatened harmony. Europe built walls to divide the erotic from the divine. Others built space to fuse them. The Catholic Church's doctrine of original sin blames women's pleasure for the fall of humanity. Martyrs were praised for resisting temptation, a euphemism for dying in fear of their own bodies. The Inquisition tortured people for carnal heresy, meaning dreams, desires, and even moaning in sleep. Meanwhile, the Dogon in Mali synchronized dance and intercourse to celestial rhythms, sex as cosmic celebration. The Balinese conducted temple offerings where flour, water, and body oil blurred the sacred and the sensual. The Maori practiced whakawhano unga to unga, sexuality as relational weaving, not deviance. Europe demanded guilt in the flesh. The rest of the world found God in the skin. Women's fashion from 15 to 1900 featured corsets, bustles, and petticoats, designed to disfigure the body into an idealized chastity cage. Black fabric symbolized piety. Flesh-tone undergarments were marketed to hide the body, even from the self. Even wigs, heels, and pantaloons were gender panic rituals, reflections of elite sexual confusion, not fluidity. By contrast, Kalabari women's wrappers and beaded tops emphasized waist movement, fertility, and elegance. Pleasure was visual. Pueblo textiles wove identity, erotic freedom, and clan belonging into the body's adornment. South Pacific tapa cloth carried sexual symbols and prayers, worn at ceremonies to summon fertility, not suppress it. Europe wrapped bodies to punish them. Others adorned them to praise their power. In Europe, marriage was feudal property consolidation. Wives were sold with dowries, and marital rape wasn't criminalized until the 1990s. Virginity was a fiscal measurement. Blood on the wedding sheets. Inheritance on the line. Brothels were state-regulated, but workers criminalized. A textbook model of exploitative market contradiction. Compare this with the Ashanti system of Achadea, or gifts, involving reciprocal, communal negotiations, not ownership. In Iroquois society, women chose and deposed male leaders, and property passed through the maternal line. No economic dependency. The Igbo concept of na-ochia honored ancestors by preserving sexual ethics through familial love, not price tags. Europe made sex a transaction. The rest of the world kept it embedded in kinship. In Europe, Plato's ladder of love climbed away from the body toward abstract, disembodied forms. Aristotle saw women as deformed men, and sex for reproduction only. St. Augustine declared that even consensual pleasure in marriage was a sin if enjoyed too much. Elsewhere, Taoist sexual cultivation taught that orgasms circulated qi, life force, not shame. African philosophies of Ubuntu emphasized care, reciprocity, and community, including in erotic relations. Buddhist Tantra in the Himalayas mapped spiritual awakening through the precise fusion of breath, gaze, and sensuality. Europe intellectualized its fear of the body. The rest of the world philosophized its joy. In Europe, paintings depicted female nudes through male violence, spied on like Susanna and the Elders, raped as in the rape of the Sabine women, or punished as in Lucretia. Museums still classify non-European erotic art as primitive or tribal, segregating desire from intellect. Medieval bestiaries sexualized non-human animals while criminalizing human sensuality. Contrast this with Benin bronzes, which displayed erotic intimacy as part of state power, not scandal, but statecraft. Persian miniature paintings celebrated lovers with elegance and equal emotional gaze. Moche pottery in Peru showed sex in all its forms, consensual, queer, sacred, and even humorous. Europe made erotic art a contradiction. Others made it a mirror of life. Europe made sex a prison. The rest of the world made it a portal. Let's be clear, it wasn't just individual acts of perversion. It was a structural obsession with control of bodies, time, aesthetics, and meaning. And they still export it today as a shame-based education, algorithmic, and sanitized progress. Meanwhile, the archives of the world still hold blueprints for sexual healing, balance, and power, not in the academy, in the songs, rituals, jewelry, tattoos, altars, and breath. The European project turned sex into a strategy. The rest of the world never forgot it was a ceremony. Cope.